Hey guys, welcome to Moworks. We're back out on the range today. It was raining a little bit earlier, but I think we're going to be good for now. Even if it is going to rain later, we are set because today we are shooting our Charles Daly 101 single shot shotgun. And because it's a single shot, because it only really cost me $94 in shop, about $150 out the door, but who cares about that? I don't mind beating it up a little bit, so we'll shoot in the rain, we'll shoot even if it starts snowing. But today, the big question is, what are we going to be shooting? Let me show you. So what we have today is some Federal 12 gauge Field and Target number 7 birdshot shells. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is right here, right near the base. You can see we've made a small incision. And that small incision is for what, ladies and gentlemen? It is for cut shells. Yes, we're going to be going over cut shells today. More lightly. There's not too much to cover here. There's not a real in-depth philosophical discussion about what cut shells are and what they aren't. What cut shells are is typically a birdshot load with a small incision made just after the brass casing. Basically, you want to get it somewhere on the wad, right at the base of the wad, but you don't want to be cutting into where the powder is. You don't want the powder leaking out the sides or getting loose. But what you do want is for the whole front top of this shell, right after the incision, what you do want that to do is to break off and shoot as one solid projectile. Does that make sense? Basically what you're doing is that you're cutting the shell so that when the explosion happens inside the barrel of the gun, instead of the pressure going through the cartridge itself, going through this 12 gauge hole and pushing the wad and the bird shot out the front of these crimps and then out the front of the barrel, you're causing the pressure to build up all around this incision you made, which causes that to break free first. It causes the incision to break free before the crimps break free, which causes the whole end of the shell to shoot out as one large projectile. So cut shell is basically making a slug out of birdshot, and all you need to do it is a pocket knife, or in my case, I'm using a box cutter just because it's a lot sharper than my pocket knife is. And despite me actually making knives at home, like forging knives at home with an anvil, I still can't get the hang of sharpening them, unfortunately. At least sharp enough to cut through these shotgun holes, which has proven quite difficult for me. But yeah, let's take a look at this new kind of idea. I'll show you how I make them, and then I'll show you what it looks like when you shoot them, and that'll be the video. Let's get to it. Alright, hopefully this all is in frame. So obviously for cut shells, you need to start off with your 12 gauge shell. This is again Federal Field and Target 7.5 shot, 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch birdshot. And then I like to use just a little, this little 96-cent box cutter I got at the local hardware store. I like to use this just because it's really sharp and it does a good job of cutting these shells. Now obviously one of the points of concern is that whenever you're trying to cut this and you're putting down so much pressure, you don't want to slip and cut your finger, or slip down here, cut your finger. You don't want to brace it against your leg and slip and cut into your pants and through your leg, especially when you're using a sharp knife like this. So what I have found best is that if you can, or if you have one of the old style, metal ammo boxes, put that on your leg instead. Then put the shell underneath the carry handle, put this side down, leave this side up, and that kind of acts as a little stabilizer and a little brace. You're not going to cut through this into your leg. There's some physical protection between the knife and these fingers over here. And then, for me, for these shells, I put it about 1/3 of an inch above where the brass stops, and get a little more out than that, and I cut in. And I really use that tip to make a lot of the incision, right where it's sharpest. You can go all the way around, just slowly working it. You want to angle it up just a little bit so that when you meet your other cut, they're off-center. You want them to be off-center. That off-centerness is going to allow the shell to stay together until it's ready to fire. So that looks a little light, so I'm going to go through and give it another quick pass just to make sure all the cuts were deep enough to allow the top half of the shell to fully disengage from the bottom half of the shell and fly as one projectile. Alright, that's looking good to me. Let's put our hearing protection and eye protection back on and we'll shoot. Just taking some quick video here to explain the upcoming segment. There's a lot of trash right there. There's trash leading all the way up here, including someone's phone they shot. Trash littered there, trash littered there. The berm I can understand, but still just a lot of garbage. This one's actually mine, that's coming back with me. However, you know, milk jugs, whole piles of cans. Some of this stuff was used just as target practice. Some of it is just dumped here. That's wood, that'll disintegrate. I really have no beef with that. But whenever you're leaving whole metal stands, picture frames, milk jugs in the trees, whew, it is highly appreciated to pick up after yourself. However, while I don't endorse littering of any kind, someone did leave this metal shelving out here that we'll be using for our video today. The reason why we will be using it is you can see these clean holes that are poked through. That looks like 9mm, maybe something a little bigger for that one, but it's going to give us a really good point of reference for our cut shells. I'm hoping it'll put a big dent in the sheet metal, if not just blow a hole straight through it. We'll be using this bottom half, but I think we'll very easily be able to tell what is cut shell and what is, you know, whatever 9mm they were shooting earlier. So let's go load up our cut shell. We'll take a shot and we'll see what type of impact it creates. All right, we got our eyes on the target. I'm gonna shoot that shell that I just showed you guys that I cut, and then I might shoot 2 more, or depending on how this first shot goes, I might take you guys up there and get a closer look. All right, let's do it. All right, I'm taking you guys with me. Sorry if the audio's a bit bumpy, but check that out. Get some of these leaves out of the way so you can see. So look, you got that big giant hole right there where it looks like most of the cut shell went through. Trying to get a piece out. I don't think it's coming. And then you see right here, we have a whole bunch of little peppering of birdshot, where it's very likely some of the birdshot spilled out of the shell this way and hit independently. All right, let's take another shot. And before we do, I just want to say point of aim was up here. Point of impact was there. That's at 10 yards. Let's try it again. Despite us cutting all around the rim, this one failed to detach. I guess we just did not cut it further enough in. We did not cut it deep enough. And as a result, it functioned just as you would expect, with most of the pellets clustering around point of aim and spreading out throughout the rest of the board. Let's try our third cut shell. Again, the cut shell failed to detach. I guess we're just not cutting these deep enough. Let me go make a couple more and see how they run. All right, we're all set up again, and this time with this shell, I did cut all the way through the hole in some places to see if that is the special trick we need to start getting these functioning reliably. Let's try it out. Alright, so as you can see, we did get full detachment that time. Looks kind of silly, doesn't it? However, even at, put that on safe, even at 10 yards, we didn't hit this panel. Even at 10 yards. And I was aiming right where I was with that bird shot that we're hitting consistently. All that to say, these are not very consistent shots. That is the one thing I will say about cut shells. I like the idea of a homemade slug. I like the idea of an improvised slug. And obviously I'm a novice at this. I can't even get them to detach every time. I just wanted to cover this because I thought it was a really interesting talking point, a really interesting little bit of history back when people would use these to hunt deer whenever they couldn't afford the slugs or the buckshot. You know, America 2024, or at least early 2024, there's not a whole lot of practical use for these. Slugs and buckshot are regularly available to most people, and they aren't too much more expensive than, you know, the bird shot. You can get a box of 5 slugs, typically anywhere from $5 to $10, depending on where you live. And as far as I'm aware, it's illegal in most, if not all, places to hunt with cut shells, especially against things like deer or even bear, if you wanted to risk that. Maybe some places would let you hunt coyote with it. Some states I know don't even want you hunting coyote without a license. And usually whenever you have to have a license for something, they want you using the correct calibers and ammos to hunt for it. Anyway, we're going to try this one more time because I have faith in cut shells to hit that banner again. I have faith in myself to hit it again, though I don't think it's me pulling these shots. We'll shoot one more shot and then we'll close this down. Again, here's the aftermath of a appropriately functioning cut shell. Also, there's a little buckshot I just found. Alright, so I'm super glad I took the time to make that last shot. Point of aim was right here. Point of impact right here. Now check that out. Look how gnarly that is. See? The whole front of the shell shoots out. Uses that bird shot as its weight. But of course, once it hits something sturdy, it blows apart. Some people believe, here's another one, that this almost has somewhat of like an internal grenade effect, that when this hole with all the bird shot hits a target, that it capsizes or otherwise explodes like this and dumps bird shot directly into the target, into the vital areas. I believe that could happen sometimes, but not every time, and not reliably enough to make, you know, an ethical kill every time, especially on big game. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video today. The rain is really starting to come now, so we're gonna have to head out of here. I hope you guys all had a good New Year. I hope all the holidays went well for you. I really appreciate a lot of you guys actually tuned in to Moworks over the New Year. I actually got about 10 new subscribers over, you know, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch or show your families or friends or whatnot, especially that turkey explosion video. It seems like a lot of people like that. Anyway, that's one half. That's the other half. Cut shells, very fun. Not for semi-auto rifles, not even necessarily for pump action shotguns, but single shot, you know, it's what they're made for. Alright, you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, night. I'll see you next time.